Good afternoon, everyone, from Dunrovin Ranch in Lolo, Montana. What a beautiful fall day we have. It's October 11th at 4:30 in the afternoon, and I have to say, earlier in the week, we almost had snow on the ground. It came down to about the 4,000 foot elevation, and my whole being said, no, no, stop it there. I'm not ready quite yet. I often feel this way at this time of year. I so love fall, and I hate seeing it deteriorate and move into winter. Once we're into winter, I love winter. It's not that I detest winter, but it's just that I love fall. And I'm really glad that you are here to enjoy this beautiful day with me. And I have to admit to being a little bit distracted by the wonderful kids in the Pony Club session this afternoon. It's just so much fun to watch these young kids partner up with their horses. We were going to have Gabby on the phone with me, but somehow our phone system decided not to work at the last moment. So Gabby, are you on the chat? I've got my eye on the chat. So if you are on the chat, could you say something so that I can see that you are here? And I know that you'll be talking with people while we go through some of these slides. I wanted to tell people about our river rides. And I wanted to start off with showing some films I took or some photos that I took of Gabby's river ride with us. Okay, I see that she's here. That's terrific. Okay, so go ahead and put the first slide up, Jake. The first slide is a Google Earth, a photo of a Google Earth map with the route for our river ride shown in red. I hope you can see it. Let me know if you can. But you can see that it's kind of a big loop ride. We go off south of the ranch and then across the river, and then we go through a little forested area, and then up an old utility road on the side of the mountain behind us, from which we get really lovely views of the Bitterroot Valley. And then we trace our steps back and make a little bit of a loop and come back to the ranch at a different part in the river, which, by the way, is a little deeper. So in the early part of the year, we can't come back that way. We have to make it more of a circle back to where we started. If you want to go to the next slide, Jake, these are the next few slides are all of Gabby's ride with us, and she is pictured in white. She's wearing a white shirt and a white helmet. Everybody wears helmets, of course. And you've all seen us take off for our river rides. And I think you'll see us kind of go through the initial part down where you can get at the extent of the ranch camera. But it goes along the river through a field, a really pretty field. And then we come to a little slough. And you can just keep going through these slides as I talk, Jake, just the next one. We can go through a little field and a slough, and then we pop out on the river. So you should be on slide number 4, Dick, where you can see we kind of pop out on this lovely view of the river, which is, people just get excited about crossing the river because many people have never crossed the river on a horse before. And the Bitterroot River is not a huge river like the Mississippi by any means, but it's a considerably large river, and oftentimes the water comes all the way up to the belly of the horses or more. And after the crossing the river, the next slide, Jake, you end up in a kind of a grassy area that you ride behind some trees that are along the river, which takes you through this area, and then you kind of pop out back on the river's edge and head towards this mountain road that takes you along the mountain to overlook the valley. So the next slide 6, is all of us heading up that road. And that's a really fun place to go. You can go to the next slide, Jake, as we go up higher on that road. It's at the end of it, there's a gate and a sign. It's not a very pleasant sign, I might add. It's our neighbors saying, "Keep out or we'll shoot you." And it's not true. He can't shoot us, but it is true that that's where the a different private property starts, and we have to stop our ride or go all the way up to the top. And I used to go all the way up to the top, but the truth is that it's so steep beyond this point that most of the people that I took with me really didn't enjoy coming back down. It's kind of scary if you don't feel real comfortable on a horse in the mountains. It looked really frightening. Okay, go to the next slide then, Dave. So this is at the very top where we turn around, and you can see Gabby there is in the white with the white helmet on. And the horses, they all know, by the way, that this is the routine. They get this high, and then they turn around and head for home. They think they're heading for home. So the next slide, slide number 9, is Gabby down in this lovely little meadow area. And with Gabby there, we decided that we would do an extra round the meadow and put our horses into gait, which is that lovely walking, that fast walk. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gabby, but I do believe you got Rocket to gait. Gabby was riding Rocket, who's a terrific horse. It can keep him from eating, and I don't know, Gabby, if you had much trouble with him that day. I kind of remember the first few minutes you had to correct him, but after that you really got the gist of it and kept him from keeping his nose in the grass. But that's the lovely meadow. And I used to be, when I would first get a horse, I would take him over to this very meadow and gait around that big meadow numerous times to keep them in gait. In fact, that's what we should do with Mystery. Is Kelly and I should go over there and really gait him around that pasture numerous times. This is one of the things that I would often do with Con Ovnik when he would come to help me with the horses. And then the next photo, the 10th one, is us going sort of back around to cross a little slough. The slough ends up in this very deep hole that I used to call Dunrovin. And I called it Dunrovin because it is a stagnant hole that is spring fed. And in the summertime, my kids would all swim there. We always had great fun at Dunrovin. And then the next slide, actually, the next thing is a video. And I'm going to assume that you can see this video. I cannot see it myself. So, Jake, can you cue me here on the phone and let me know when it starts and when it ends? But this is a really short video that I took by going across the river on my horse feet. Starting now. Great. Okay. So this shows everybody coming across the river. I went across the river myself first and then took the video. Everybody can hear a little cola computing for attention out here. Let me know when it's finished, Jake. I took a longer video, but my horse would not cooperate by not shaking, so it got really kind of shaky. Is it over, Jake? Okay, great. Anyway, it's really fun crossing the river on the horses. Everybody gets a really good time. Okay, now the next few photos are not of Gabby's trip. They are of other trips that we've had, and I just kind of wanted to give you a flavor for some of the times of year that we've had people. I mean, the fall, of course, is just a marvelous time of year to go across, like today. In fact, Jane's helped us take a few videos of the ride that went across the river this afternoon. We hope to use those videos in some promotion for Days at Dunrovin. But this photo 13, is a photo of some people headed off for a ride during the fall. And the next photo is of them at the river getting ready to cross. And these guys they come here all the time. They're from the New Frontier Ministries. They will be here, in fact, in just a few days to come again. It's this time of year that they often do come. And then the next photo is everybody crossing the river, which is, this is where the deeper part of the river is. It's right in front of Dunrovin's property. And they love coming across the river at this point. And here they are, photo 16, which is of them climbing out of the river. Everybody loves this. And the following photo is a different group, but it was on a foggy, foggy day. And what's interesting about this is, you're at the ranch and it's cold and it's foggy. And you think, oh, I don't really want to do this. And people come and think, oh, maybe we shouldn't go because no, it's not going to be any fun. But look at how beautiful that river is. I mean, the fog just creates a whole different atmosphere. And that's the one thing that you learn about living along a river is that, it has such a powerful impact on the surrounding area that when the temperature changes, the water comes out of the river and forms fog or forms frost. And it's just a beautiful time. And the next photo shows that same day, the horses having climbed above the fog. So looking down in the valley, and the valley is full of fog, but you're above it. And again, even though it doesn't seem like that might be a beautiful thing to do, it actually is. And it has taught me that you don't stop going because it doesn't look good from here at any point in time, because nature has a way of being beautiful in all conditions. Okay, the next photo is of a different group that came in the middle of winter. And actually, this was a Thanksgiving Day group, if I remember correctly. And this is Jamie, who took this particular ride. And I remember that we sprayed all of the horses' hooves with Crisco. This was new, soft snow. And it was particularly wet snow because it wasn't that cold out. And what happens, of course, is that it bunches up underneath the horse's hooves. So we sprayed the horse's shoes with no stick spray, like you would put in your oven to go for baking. And that really helps keep the snow from gathering on the bottoms of their hooves and create high heels for them to walk on. And it was as a big ride too. It had one big family. They just loved it. And so the first photo is them going out across the field, and the next photo is of them getting ready to cross the river, coming back. And the dog there is Oso, because Oso is with Jamie. And you can see these people are just having a great time, even though it's the middle of winter. And the very next photo is of that same group in the middle of the river, and you can see it's fairly deep. In fact, right around October is one of the times when the water is fairly deep, in part because people stop irrigating in Montana at the end of September, and the irrigation, takes a lot of water out of the main stem. So when they stop irrigating, the water flows go up in the fall before it starts to freeze. And then the next photo is just a summer's ride. All times a year, and this is the horses crossing the river right in front of Dunrovin Ranch, and that is the then ranch manager Jesse Rogers. And I don't know that anybody met Jesse. This is before we had days at Dunrovin, and you can see in some ways it's kind of sad to look at this photo because 3 of the 4 horses that you see there are no longer with us. That's Monty's in front, and thankfully he is with us. In fact, he's out there carrying a child right now. And Keith, of course, died recently. Behind him is Charger, who died some time ago. And behind him is Flash, who's still very much alive, but is no longer with us. And I'm glad that he's enjoying a great retirement elsewhere. Okay, and then the next photo is really an old photo. And this is during the spring of the year the spring of the year can be when the river is the highest. And right before it floods in April, it gets extremely high. And this particular photo was taken during a horsemanship clinic that I held with Brandon Carpenter. And Brandon is on my horse Power at the front of their line of this, and the woman behind him is riding Toddy. I did talk to you all about Toddy during my memorial service, a wonderful horse. I really regret that horse had wobbles. He's a beautiful, terrific horse. And behind him is a horse Flash, and then behind him is a woman with her own horse. I don't remember the name of that horse. But the next photo shows Brandon on Power, who, by the way, was a very tall horse. And you can see how high the river is. And in fact, I would say this is about um, the maximum that I would allow people other than myself to go across the river on a horse. If the horses have to swim, and I have crossed the river a couple times when they had to swim part of it, you have to be really careful. And we don't allow guests to do that, to swim on the horses. For one thing, you have to know exactly what to do if the horse loses its footing and goes down. It can be a dangerous situation. The force of the river is really substantial. And, once it gets to the depth that you see in this photo, the horses really have to be careful about where they put their feet, and they have to go very deliberately. So this is about the limit of the time that we would allow horses to cross. So those are all of the river photos that I have. I have lots of wonderful memories of trips across the river, and I would like to share a couple of them with you. One, of course, is with Gabby. She was delighted to go, and it was clear that she was having a good time. And we went with several other women, around our age, which did a lot of fun. Our good friend Jim Sparks had a friend who came, and it was just fun to have a group of women all about the same age crossing together. But I've had a number of people for whom this was a very big adventure. And I think of one particular instance. I had a young man who had come out to Dunrovin for a fly fishing clinic. He was one of the instructors. I don't remember his name. This was many years ago. But he called me one day and asked if he could come out and take his mother on a horse across the river. And I said, sure, that would be great. So I saddled them up, and I was on my horsepower, and I took them across the river. And on this particular ride, I took them all the way to the top of the hill. And I could tell that she was very nervous about the riding and nervous about crossing the river. And what I always tell people is just don't look down. Look across the horizon. Don't watch your horses. Don't look at the river because it can make you a little bit dizzy. Just keep your eye on the horizon and go for it. And we did. And by the time we got to the very top of the mountain, she started to cry. And at first I was really taken back, but then she really started to cry, and she hugged her son. And it was a very meaningful thing for this woman to have done, because her husband, the young boy's father, the young man's father, had committed suicide 6 weeks earlier. And I think the tension of riding the horse across the river and going up that mountain, and her sort of stealing all of her focus and all of her concentration on accomplishing that task was the very challenge that sort of broke the dam of the emotion that was waiting to break with her son. And so luckily, I didn't have anything pressing me that afternoon, and I got off the horses, and I said, you guys stay just as long as you want and talk, and I'll take the horses over and they can graze. They like nothing better than to graze on top of the mountain. So I did. I just took the 3 horses over, and I babysat them for probably about an hour while she and her son talked and hugged and cried and grieved what had happened in their lives. And they motioned for me to come back. And we were quiet when we rode down the hill, but when we got to the river again, she said to me, I'm not so afraid to cross it this time. This has been a wonderful ride for me. And it made me feel really blessed and privileged, frankly, to have been with these 2 people and to have had any little bit of a help in their grieving process. It was a very, very moving trip for me. Another trip I remember is when I first started this trail. I mean, there was no trail. I created the trail. And now that it's well enough formed, and I have people go over every year and clear it. But the first time, I cleared it. And I remember during a family reunion that we had some years ago, this is a long time ago, one of my brother-in-laws, who is a single fellow and who's had some um, medical challenges in his life, wanted to go and help clear a trail. His name was Randy, Uncle Randy to Jake. And Randy's just the kindest guy you'll ever meet. But he's big and he's a little bit awkward. And I was a little bit afraid of getting him on a horse and getting him across the river because I wasn't sure how well balanced he would be on a horse. So I selected Smokey. Everybody remembers Smokey, a big, strong horse. And I will always be indebted to Smokey because he was so careful with Randy. You could tell that Smokey was the one doing the work, staying under Randy as opposed to Randy staying on top of Smokey. It was just a beautiful thing to watch Smokey as he navigated the river and navigated the trail. And several times we had to get off to move logs and clear brush and all of that. And Randy participated right along with everybody else, even though it was very difficult for him to get on and off that big horse Smokey. But I was so proud and so pleased with both participants, both Randy and Smokey. And Randy had a wonderful time with Smokey. And again, it pleased me no end that this has happened for two beings that I cared so deeply about. Um, One more memory of the uh, river ride is I had a good friend who wanted to learn how to ride horses, and I took her riding frequently with me, but she'd never ridden completely by herself. And so I put her on my big old horse, Denali. And again, I know none of you met Denali. He died uh, long before I had a web camera here. But he was this huge horse and a gentle, gentle giant. Both of my children rode him. I used to take Mark back in the backcountry as a youngster and put him on this. He was a 17-hand horse, huge, taller than Lady Lonza. And he just took wonderful care of his rider. He was a dependable horse. But anyway, I asked my friend, her name was Sue. I said, Sue, I think it's time that you rode a horse off by yourself. And she said, oh, I don't feel confident to do that. I said, oh, yes, you can do this. And I said, we're going to do this. I'm going to take my lawn chair down to the river, and I'm going to sit on the lawn chair with my binoculars, and you're going to cross the river and go to the top of the mountain, and I'm going to watch you. And you can't cheat because I can see you the whole way. And sure enough, she did it. And again, Nellie took such wonderful care of her. Just not a bobble, no resistance, no showing any kind of fear on his own. And she just had a wonderful time. She came back just so pleased with herself that she had done this all on her own, and that she and Denali became closer friends as a result of it. So I just have, I'm steeped in wonderful memories of um, the, the river ride. Many, many people have come. I've had executives from Disney. I've had actors and important people who've gone across the river with us. It's just a wonderful place to go. And as Gabby can tell you, it's just a beautiful ride. I mean, it's right here. You don't have to go anywhere. And that river just adds so much to the whole environment. I just feel blessed to live on this river, living, breathing part of the earth that enhances everything so very much. And I'll close about river rides with that. I do have one more slide that I'd like to show, and that is the game board for our upcoming Equip, which will be held this Sunday. Now, if you reload your pages that you're watching the cameras on, you will see that there is a link to a post that I just put up that has this game board and the instructions. And what's going to happen on Sunday is we're going to start with me manning the camera, the ranch camera, and we will go around the property and you will be finding some boards with letters on them. And it will be your challenge to make sense of all the letters. And the way you do that is by looking at this map and comparing it to the actual property. Okay, so Sunday, 1:30. Uh, Download your game board. I also put it on as a PDF file that you can download to your computer and you can print out so that you can have it sitting next to your computer while you are playing the game. And at that, I'm going to turn to questions. I see I have one. Celia says, no pictures of Sierra when Brandon saved her. No, I don't. You know, that's kind of a funny story because I really thought that Brandon knew where to cross the river, and it was a marginal climb to cross the river. But I thought I had crossed the river in the shallowest place with Brandon before, but evidently I did not because he did not recognize the shallowest place, and he chose another place that wasn't quite so shallow. And indeed, Mystery lost his footing and down Sierra went in the water and drowned her cell phone, by the way. And I do believe Brandon was on Lady Lonza, and Lonza did not lose her footing because she's a really big, sturdy horse and used to the river and used to the water, having crossed it many, many times. But Mystery was not used to the river, and he's also a slightly built young horse, so the river got the best of him. So, and I wish I did have pictures of that, Sylvia, because I certainly would love to chide Brandon. I'm always looking for something that I can chide Brandon on. All right. Um, are there any other questions or comments? If not, I will sign off, and I will be with you on Sunday for the Key Quest. This is an experimental game. This is with the people you met earlier this week with Walter and Jamie from Big Sky Breakout, and I think our association with them is going to take us in really fun directions. I'm really looking forward to figuring out how we can have some fun with some hide and seek and guessing games here at Dunrovin. So thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to our next chat and to our Key Quest. And unless there's something else somebody is dying to tell me, I'll give it another 15 seconds, and then I will sign off. And by the way, I'm back here in this unusual location because I'm using my computer screen to see the photos that we are talking about. And I couldn't see the screen with the sun on it, so I had to get in the shade. This is Jake's idea. So tell me how you like the background. All right. Thank you all. I so enjoy talking with all of you. I enjoy your chats and your emails and your tweets and your texts, and keep it coming, and we will keep coming to you as well. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Goodbye from Dunrovin.